Huge announcement for Mercedes W14 in 2023. We're gonna be going through that and 4 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel hitting that red button down below. So the first story is that Mercedes have announced the first look at the W14. Mercedes are speeding up their preparations for the 2023 Formula One season and have already fired up their 2023 car, the W14. It seems Mercedes cannot wait to put the disappointment of their 2022 F1 car, the W13, behind them, as they have become the first team to fire up their 2023 challenger, the W14. Mercedes released a video on social media showing the preparations being completed before the W14 was fired up in the team's factory in Brackley. So here's the video, so watch this. However, the video shows no details of the W14 will look like, or whether it will retain the Zeropod design that turned heads when revealed on the W13, but ultimately failed to deliver on its theoretical promise of performance. The W13 suffered from severe porpoising, with the team having to raise the ride height of the car to mitigate the problem, but then suffered from loss of downforce. The team worked on developing the car of the 2022 season, but it remained precarious, working at some races, but causing trouble at others. Despite winning a race with George Russell at the 2022 Sao Paulo Grand Prix, the W13 remained a troublesome car, not in line with the previous creations that left the factory in Brackley, and the team said they intended to redesign it for 2023. The DNA of the car is going to change for next year, that's clear, Mercedes boss Toto Wolff said. It doesn't necessarily mean that our bodywork is going to look very different, but certainly what is part of the DNA of the car, the architecture of the car, will change for next year, the Austrian added. So the second story is Mercedes predict they will be back in very strong place with 2023 car. Mercedes strategy director James Vowles believes the team will be in a very strong place in 2023 with the work they will do over winter. Having started Formula One's second new era with producing car with a particularly bumpy ride in the W13, Lewis Hamilton and George Russell both struggled to get through a race weekend smoothly, with Hamilton in particular looking in significant pain after certain Grand Prix where the porpoising the car suffered appeared at its worst. The 7-time world champion opted to experiment with setups to try and find solutions, and while new teammate Russell did so too to an extent, he continued to mop up top 5 results on a consistent basis as the team worked on their issues. There was still an underlying pace disadvantage to both Ferrari and Red Bull for much of the season though, but Mercedes gradually reeled in their opponents, particularly on race pace, with Hamilton and Russell putting up stronger fights for victories as the year progressed. This ultimately culminated in Russell's first ever race victory at Interlagos, with Hamilton recovering from contact with Max Verstappen to make it a Mercedes 1-2 at the penultimate race of the season, only missing out to Ferrari for second in the constructors' standings by 39 points at the end of a grueling season. Vowles acknowledged there is plenty of work to be done between both bases at Brackley and Brixworth for the team to hit the ground running with the W14 from pre-season testing onwards, but explained that the tools at Mercedes' disposal, combined with their work ethic, should see them come back fighting next year. Don't think you can truly now or even across the winter state that we know everything about the W13, Vowles explained in the team's post-Abu Dhabi debrief. Yeah, there have been some ups and downs, very much so, and that's the part of what I meant by this car has items that we believe we understand, and some of them that's still not fully explained as a result of that. But if you look at the direction moving forward, the gaps to the front, especially on race pace, we made huge amounts of progress, and you only do that by understanding where your problems are, working on them and working as a team. Is it enough to win next year? Which is really where that question goes. The confidence we have is that we now have our tools, our wind tunnel tools, our development tools, our performance tools here in the organization producing performance, which is more than our competitors. It's allowing us to move further forward relative to them. There is still a avoid though, and Abu Dhabi really showed that. That has to be caught up across the winter, and I think we have a very good process and system in place to do that. That development that you saw across the season will continue across the winter, and I think we will be in a very strong place next year. So the third story is Mercedes didn't think porpoising was major issue after Barcelona F1 test. Mercedes topped the times at the Spanish Grand Prix venue with what was an early development phase package, an achievement that required significant ride height changes and metal floor stays not originally designed to be run nor considered legal under FON's original technical rules to be added. But Chauvelin, Mercedes' director of trackside engineering, has revealed that although the team's issue with porpoising had been spotted at its shakedown run during Storm Eunice 2 weeks earlier and continued at Barcelona, it was not overly concerned because the W13 was yet to run in its race specification. That specification arrived to great intrigue at the Bahrain test ahead of the season opener, with the car transformed thanks to its zero-pod sidepod design. But here Mercedes' 2022 campaign unraveled as the W13's porpoising got even worse and could not be solved until the team introduced its first major upgrade at May's Spanish GP. Afterwards, it was revealed that Mercedes also had a problem with suspension stiffness over bumps, even though its aerodynamic issues with porpoising had been addressed. This secondary problem and the work to improve it meant the Silver Arrows team could not make the W13 quicker through additional developments until the Austin race late in the season. At Silverstone, we were in the middle of a storm. It was about the worst conditions we've ever run a car in, Chauvelin told motorsport.com. That certainly doesn't allow for very clear and sensible shakedown running for the filming day. But that car, so the car that we then took to Barcelona, yes, you could get porpoising, and we were running the car very high anyway on ride heights given the weather and given that it was the first running of the car. We did lower the ride heights to more normal levels at Silverstone and saw that you could get this phenomenon. But we didn't really know much about it and what was causing it. So, going to Barcelona was therefore a case of understanding. How can we run the car? What are the problems? How can you mitigate what was happening with the porpoising? At the time, about the best thing you could do was just lift the car off the ground, give up performance, and manage it that way. So the fourth story, Lewis Hamilton suggests he will stay at Mercedes until he wins another world championship. Lewis Hamilton is in no mood to retire before winning another title, no matter how long it takes. Lewis Hamilton wants to finalize an extension beyond the 2023 F1 season and told Bild Germany that he will be sticking with Mercedes until he secures another title. He said, "My goal is to continue to be with Mercedes. I've been with Mercedes since I was 13 and they really are my family. They've stuck with me through thick and thin, and I want to be the best teammate I can be to them. So far, there has been no time for this. We have been on the road for 2 months at a time. It will not be a very long time, but I will definitely stay. Retiring as a world champion, I think, is a dream that every athlete has, and so do I. Thanks so much for watching."